This is a baseline brief on Chad by K&H Open Source Intelligence Analysis Productions. This brief will take approximately 7 minutes. Do you have the time, sir? Chad is a landlocked sub-Saharan country located to the south of Libya and the west of Sudan. It is a country rich in gold and uranium, with oil pipelines linking oil fields to the Atlantic. Historically a French colony, the populace speak Arabic and French, with the Muslim north speaking predominantly Arabic and the Christian south harbouring French speakers. The largest tribe in the country is the Tebu tribe, who are historically rooted in the Tibesti Mountains of Chad. They hold influence over the northern border regions, generally able to cross international borders easily, and as such being facilitators of weapons and ammunition. The capital is to the southwest of the country, on the Nigeria-Cameroon border, and is called N'Djamena. There is a history of sectarian violence, with a long-running insurgency and instability stemming from the independence from France in the 1960s, and then the further banning of opposition political parties by the incumbent Chadian Progressive Party in 1963. This led to the collapse of the capital to the northern rebels, causing authority in the country to crumble. External actors such as France and Libya attempted to hold sway over the power vacuum, with General Gaddafi, the premier of Libya, sending an expeditionary force, headed by Khalifa Haftar and Ahmed Oun, in order to aid the rebel north. This led to a multinational operation with France, Zaire and the United States aiding Chad against the rebels in Libya, further leading to a crushing defeat and causing Libya to cede control of the contested Wazoo Strip by September 1987. Issy Nabra managed to gain control of the country during this unrest through French backing, leading to a dictatorship relying on corruption and violence. He was toppled in 1990 in a military coup by Idris Deby, who reintroduced multi-party politics and democratic election. However, Idris Deby modified the constitution to remove a two-term limit on the presidency, causing further strife amongst opposition parties. As such, rebel forces have attempted to take the capital twice in 2006 and 2008, but have failed both times. In 2005, a 5-year proxy war started between Chad and Sudan, causing issues on the eastern border. This was finally resolved when a rapprochement was signed in 2010, leading to clashes inside Sudan when Chadian rebels were returning from fighting. A further coup against Idris Deby was attempted in May 2013, but was quashed by the Chadian security forces. The security situation in Chad is dire, with the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Office advising only essential travel to half of the country, and further advising against all travel in the north and within 30 kilometres of the border. There is also a state of emergency remaining in place for Chad's namesake, Lake Chad. There is a high threat from terrorism and kidnapping, with indiscriminate attack, as well as retaliatory attacks following French intervention in Mali to fight Boko Haram. Crime is high throughout the country, with a high risk of armed robbery and pickpocketing, as well as recommendations not to travel at night. Local travel is a high risk due to the high number of internally displaced personnel and banditry with violent crime being common. Road travel is hazardous due to bad driving, and travel outside the capital requires authorization from the Ministry of the Interior. There are firm migration routes through Chad, with sub-Saharan refugees and immigrants passing through the country to go north into Libya, where they can proceed onwards via the sea and overland routes to southern Europe. This is exacerbated by the high number of refugees from fighting, and creates firm facilitation routes that extremists are able to exploit, not to mention smuggling routes facilitated by the local tribes. The most influential militia group in Chad is one called the Janjaweed Militia, who generally operate on the eastern border with Sudan. They were involved in the 2005 proxy war in Sudan and were also responsible for a campaign of genocide against black African villages, killing an estimated 70,000 people and harassing a further 1.4 million people, forcing them to leave their homes in 2006 alone, with an estimated 200,000 to 400,000 civilians killed by late 2007, according to the United States government. A militia who operate in the Darfur region, they historically operate on horses and on foot with AK variants. Various groups have alleged that the Janjaweed are Sudanese state-sponsored, in order that African tribes are wiped out of the Darfur region. Intelligence update. 11 soldiers were killed in an attack on a prison convoy on the 12th of April 2017. This took place to the north of N'Djamena at Massaguet by unidentified assailants. The soldiers were escorting 93 prisoners to Koro Toro in the north, another prison. This is likely to be a retaliatory attack after Adoum Soleimani, a commander in the Chad-Sudan mixed force, was killed in Tissi. which is on the border between Chad, Sudan and the Central African Republic, in January by Chadian regime forces. 12 Chadian activists have been released on the 12th of April 2017, after having been arrested on the 10th of April protesting against the president Idris Deby. The activists were members of the Line of Citizen movement and were arrested on the sidelines of the demonstration. They were protesting against Idris Deby on the anniversary of his 5th win in the presidential elections. A further protester, Najo Kaina, arrested on the 6th of April in Lejema, is still missing. It is likely that political strife is simply going to worsen the longer that Deby stays in power. He caused upheaval when he removed the 2-term limit initially and will continue to do so until he is ousted. This is compounded by the 2nd of February declaration from Idris Deby that Chad allegedly does not have enough resources to organise legislative elections. It is highly likely that these financial issues stem from the global reduction in oil prices worldwide, as well as the cost of continued security operations throughout the country.